Hey there, it's James Rosowsky from Built Prefab. The purpose of this video is to take you on a tour of a few of our units. So, as you know, Built Prefab is a design and manufacture company that builds premium prefab homes in British Columbia, Canada, Kelowna to be specific. So we're full service and we do single family and multifamily buildings and design, manufacture, and install. So this video, we're going to focus on actually three designs at one time. It's really 2.5, but you'll see what I mean. And it's the smallest units in the Built World 2020 line. So we've got the Dakota, which is 960 square feet, and the Daylight, which is 768 square feet. And you're going to find that both of those in our design catalog. So if I scroll down to them, this is a quick way to have a snapshot of the buildings. But yeah, so there you go. Dakota, 960 square feet, and there's an alternative floor plan that we're going to look at. And then, of course, the Daylight, which is just 768 square feet. But we're not here to look at the brochure because, of course, you can download that from our site anytime and look yourself. So what we're going to do is sort of tour this home in 3D in the design that we have for the units. So here we are. We're at Built World 2020, and it's not really a world, but it's just a series of our houses, and they're in their own neighborhood. And the reason we did this was so that when you're looking at these, you can have a much better perspective of what they might look like against other houses, and then of course against scenery, and then also when we get inside the units, you can see what it looks like looking outwards, which is the main view that you end up having when you buy a home. So yeah, we can see there right here the Dakota. That one's the Daylight, or sorry, the East Bay. And then if I turn the view around. Now we're looking over here, which is the Daylight unit. And so I think that's where we're going to start, is at the Daylight. So just to run this down as simple as possible, the Daylight is 16 feet wide this way by 48 feet long. And it's one bedroom, one bath unit. And I mean, the way we've shown it here is with a vertical gray cedar siding, which I think is really cool, obviously all the way around. And then we're showing a cross-laminated timber facade. And it's a bit of a darker sort of approach, but honestly, I like it a lot. And when you look at the unit, you've got huge windows on both ends. So this is in the bedroom. That's a 8-foot wide by 5-foot tall window with an opener, and same as in the living room. 8-foot wide by 8-foot tall sliding door, and then of course your 8-foot tall by 3-foot wide full light entry door. And then this facade, cross laminated timber suspended there. And of course we've also shown this with what would be known as a flat roof. But of course, if you read our blog, common misconceptions about flat roofs, it's not actually flat. It does have slope that comes to the back where the drains pick up the water and move it out. So just what we'll do is look quickly at the outside of the other units. So keep that in your mind. And we move over to the other units, and here's what we're looking at, which is basically a really similar look, except on this one we've shown it with a dark gray corrugated metal horizontal fir siding. And it's just a different look. And here's the East Bay, which is sort of similar to the Dakota. And then if we go around to the back, we've accented it different, like pushed a long sort of band of it from that window, and then on the Dakota we pulled it down. But these siding options would be something we would deal with in your design, and in essence these are the main siding options we have. I could just show you one other sort of option, which is shown on our holiday unit, which is a light gray metal as opposed to dark gray, and then of course it's really finished out in a similar way. But that's something we would deal with, based on your requirements. And I mean, there are many reasons that, say you might want a full corrugated metal exterior, fire prevention, other reasons like ease of maintenance and so forth. Or you might want to go with the, sort of the idea that we've got in the daylight here, where it's an all wood type of scenario. But obviously, your budget and your functionality requirements would dictate sort of how you finish it out. Well, of course, your aesthetic as well. So anyhow, what we're going to do is go to what we call the cutaway. And so this is the daylight. And if you look at it, it's fairly straightforward. We've got a bedroom here, bath, laundry room, mechanical, kitchen, living room. Sort of fits all the functions. The unit's only 768 square feet, but it's completely trimmed out the same way as the rest of the model line. And I'm going to take you through some of the options and everything like that. So also, before I go too far, I'll go right to these other cutaways, which are for the Dakota and the East Bay. And so here's the East Bay. It's identical to the daylight. Bedroom, bath, laundry, kitchen, living, and then we've added a bedroom on the end. Dakota's almost just like that, except that second bedroom was added sort of in the middle of the unit. And I mean, each of these has its sort of upside or downside. With the Dakota, now, living is all over here, bedrooms are all over there. And that could be appealing for some people. The one downside to this configuration is that, we had to have a hallway here for the access. And, we've made it basically 3.5 feet wide. And so that's cutting into the floor space in your second bedroom. Whereas if you go with the East Bay configuration, the bedrooms on both ends, allow you to have that full width. So they're in essence almost exactly the same size. And so now I'm going to take you through the buildings. We're going to start with the daylight floor plan. And just understand that when I'm talking about any of these options, they're applicable to all three models. And that's why I'm doing them all together, because they are very similar, as you can see. So here's what we're going to start with. The first thing is the width of the building. So we said 16 feet wide by 48 feet long. And all the drawings we've done for these renderings and floor plans are showing an 8-inch wall. And depending on what happens in your design, your building code requirements, the step code, etc., that thickness could be changed. And I guess I'll just take you over to this and show you what our standard detail typically would be. So if we're building a home, this is going to be your standard wall detail. We've got drywall, vapor barrier, 2x6 wall framing, and then Roxol R28 in the walls. And we've got our exterior sheathing, which is going to be a plywood sheathing. We've got building wrap, rain screen, and then your exterior material. That detail, along with the roof insulation and the rest of the building envelope, is going to typically exceed most building requirements or building code requirements. However, if it's a priority to you to have, greater performance, that's easily an option. And so, in essence, what our alternative or optional building envelope detail would be is drywall, vapor barrier, 2x6 framing, R28 in the walls. You've got your exterior sheathing, and then 2 inches of rigid foam, which is going to add you, R12, maybe R14, depending. So, now you're talking like R40 plus in the walls. Of course, we still go with the rain screen and your exterior materials. So if this is the standard, that's great, because that's what we're seeing in all the drawings, and it allows for you to have those millwork options, the bathroom with a double vanity like I'm going to show you, and so forth. But obviously when you add another 2 inches of wall all the way around, this detail comes close to 10 inches thick, and sort of does take up a little bit of floor space, but we just make different accommodations for it. And then of course, if this is a priority for you, those inches are well spent. So I'm just going to jump back to that floor plan for the daylight and take you through the rooms. So on the one end here, we've got our bedroom. It's 12 feet wide by 14 foot 8, long, or go either direction. And what we see here is I'm showing a 6 foot wide closet, and then of course all the units show IKEA Malm beds. And the reason why we use the Malm is not because we're saying like buy a Malm bed, but it's just that I'm fairly sure that if there was a bed that everybody knew, it'd be this one. Like, it's almost impossible to have lived in North America and not seen one, whether you own one or it's in someone else's house. But it just gives you a little bit of an idea of sort of the size of the unit. And so these are all queens, and obviously could easily fit a king in there, but we're just showing a queen. And before we leave the bedroom, I just want to show you an option that we do have, which would be option one is standard, or this type of closet where you've got your sliding doors with flush pulls, and these doors essentially match the rest of the house. So that's just a standard closet. Everyone would come with a shelf and a rod like that. But obviously if you have other, interests or different priorities, your option is to do the full-on built-in millwork, which would match the rest of the millwork in the house, be the kitchen or bathrooms. And we would work through that on the design process. But so that's essentially it. And we're going to do some walkthroughs of the 3D plan of the unit. But for now, when we're talking about the bedroom, those are the main options. So coming out of the bedroom, now we move to the bathroom there. And this unit, the daylight specifically, we're showing double vanity, toilet, and then a shower. And I might as well take you over to this and just show you a couple options. So here's I think the option that's being shown. Yeah, and it's the double vanity, toilet, and then a shower. And I mean, this is one option. Your second option is to basically do the same thing and go with the tub. So it again is your taste and your priority. Like, some people may be like, well, I would never have a 1-bedroom house without a tub. But other people say, like, I don't need a tub. Honestly, it's your call, and we would also deal with that in the design process. And if you want a single vanity, we definitely have that option. We could either extend it out or build in a closet. No big deal. So just going back to that floor plan, you kind of get the idea of the kitchen. And then as we move through it, that was a bathroom. Your next area is, of course, laundry and mechanical. And so all these units, we're showing a full mechanical room, and that way we know we're able to build these units completely in the facility, and that makes things easier on site and so forth. So there's your mech room. And then, of course, we're showing a small laundry, and then we've built a closet in there on the end. And I guess I could show you sort of the laundry setup, which is this one. It's just the laundry center shown in the product guide, and a 22-inch sink, a little cabinet, and that. And obviously, your option is we can definitely make it bigger if it's a priority. And so here's one with a 30-inch sink. We can stay with the small sink and go two cabinets. So It's malleable. Again, it's all based on your budget and priorities. And so, these things that I'm showing you here, we'd work through them in the design process. So back to the floor plan. We move into the kitchen. So the kitchen we're showing in these renderings is the most basic kitchen that Built Prefab offers, and it's a one-wall kitchen there's no island, so you basically got your dining room table as your kitchen table, and it works okay for a unit of this size because you have limited floor space. So that's the design that was easiest to show. However, so actually first let me take you to show you that kitchen particularly. So even though it's just one wall, I mean, we're showing a cabinet depth, Frigidaire professional fridge. It's just a 30-inch fridge. Of course, we're going with a 20-inch sink, and then 30-inch appliances, like a range and a microwave, and then of course a dishwasher. So it's like a fully functional kitchen. It's just not very big, and depending on what you're going to use the unit for, this could be what you would want to do. And of course, like when I'm showing these kitchens, they're basic concepts of what your kitchen would be, but we would during the design process modify them to meet your requirements. So, the second option on the one wall, so this other option is sort of the same kitchen, but a larger sink. We're looking here at more like a 22-inch sink and similar appliances. We got a third kitchen option where we now move into an island situation. Obviously, this now starts to take up room in your unit, but we can modify it a bit. You might be able to fit a dining room table in there, but we just have to work through that. And the next option obviously is to take it up even another notch, and now you're dealing with a 36-inch fridge, a cooktop, 30-inch sink, and 30-inch wall oven and microwave with a pull-down door. So these are the one-wall kitchens. We can also look at sort of a side-wall corner kitchen like this, or even something bigger with an island. But as you move into these, it takes up a lot of floor space. So we would work with you to determine the best configuration for your needs and the one that meets your budget the best. So moving back to that floor plan, that's your kitchen. There's got some extra space here, so if you end up with an island here, maybe you end up moving your furniture around to have a dining room table and make that work. And then I guess finally is just talk about the living room, and I guess what we're showing here is a gas fireplace, and as we do the walkthrough, you'll see the optional wood burning fireplace. So when you look at this floor plan, bedroom, bathroom, laundry and mechanical, kitchen, living room, fairly straightforward, quite a straightforward unit. So I can just take you over to Dakota in the East Bay, and if you look down here at the East Bay, that layout is exactly the same. Bedroom, bathroom, laundry mechanical, kitchen, living room, and then we just simply added that bedroom on the end. If you look at the Dakota, it's the same, but here we're talking bedroom, and then we've added the smaller bedroom in line, and down the way exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is go over to the renderings of these two units, the Dakota and the East Bay, and we're going to take a quick walk through. So my objective is to keep this video under 30 minutes, but I'm sure if you at any time feel like it, go ahead and skip forward. So just on the outside, we're looking here, and we see the Cusco Nordic lights, which are the standard exterior downlights on all the units. Just one note is that they come in like a pewter gray as well as the black, but we just show them black all the time. So I'm just going to zoom into a different sort of frame so that we can get an inside view. And all three of these units are identical when you walk in. So you walk in, there's your kitchen. This is the laundry. There's a closet here. You're obviously looking at your bathroom. Now, of course, in this particular unit, the Dakota, there's a bedroom here, and then you look down that sort of lengthier hall, and then we go into what would be the master bedroom. And I guess I'll just take you through this a bit, but there it is. You've got your IKEA Malm bed and a tall 8-foot window by 3 feet wide, and got a transom in there. Like I said, the closet. Showing the ceiling fan that you're going to find in the model guide for this unit, and of course that big window looking out the way, so that there's somebody walking by even. But yeah, it's a nice bedroom. And actually, while we're in here, we could even talk about some of the basic standard finish details. So you see all the way around, we got 3.5-inch baseboards with 2.5-inch casing on all the doors. 8-foot interior doors. These ones are, I believe, 30 inches wide. Yeah. And then, which is not the same in all the units. So we kept these ones sort of smaller so that there was less hallway space. And the doors are all 1 3/4 inch thick, full slab. So very, got a lot of weight to them, and they definitely feel nice. That's your second bedroom there. So just a little bit smaller, but still pretty much the same setup. Moving through, we see that small kitchen that we showed you. And then, of course, the Regency gas fireplace, like we were showing in the model guide, and the living room. So, I'm going to flip it around, and then we'll just take a look at this. Say you're having breakfast or whatever, standing in the living room, that's your view outside, and definitely got a lot of glass, and in particular, just of note, I'm thinking that the previous design had glass, like sliding doors, in the living room, but what we've done is just moved it to the kitchen area, and that allows for sort of more furniture placement in the living room by having the 5-foot high window as opposed to a full length sliding door. So that could be modified if that was something you were interested in doing. But yeah, so that's the Dakota, and we're going to move into the the East Bay right away and take a look at that one. I guess as soon as my computer decides to let us go forward. But again, even though these are smaller units, the aesthetic is really quite similar to the rest of the units. And so, yeah, here we're going into the East Bay configuration, and I mean, it is exactly the same. You look in there, except no long hallway. You just jump into that bedroom. The only thing I think that would be notable in here is taking a look over here at the Stuve wood-burning fireplace. So just like you'd find in the model guide, and then of course, the second bedroom is placed over here. And another note too on this East Bay configuration is that we didn't put the full-size window in here just to, sort of try to keep the base pricing the same as the Dakota. But you could easily, modify it to have the big window so that they were matching on both ends. But yeah, nice views anyway out of there. And again, same type of finish as the other unit. And just so, if you don't believe me, I mean, we can jump into the daylight, and that's exactly the same. Except obviously we're showing the Nest thermostat, which I didn't put in the other ones, but it's standard in all of our units, so don't you worry. Yeah, and so that's the daylight interior. Same with the Regency gas fireplace. If I sort of flip around here, there's your big window. That's your view from the kitchen, having breakfast or whatever, or hanging out, and it's the same. So I think the key takeaway from looking at these units are, in essence, they're very similar to one another. They're all 16 feet wide. The Daylight is the smallest with 48 feet long. The other two they add on those 12 feet and add a second bedroom. That is basically the difference. And so, the upside of units like this is that they are quite easy to install. They, reduce a lot of site headaches, especially if they're built in this manner with the flat roof, a basic CLT facade. And so I think the only other thing I would like to show you is that we're able to do some other sort of like roof lines. It's all price dependent as well, but like if you look at a unit, say for instance like the Spring, this is a full-on cross-laminated timber cold roof, and we could do something like this, and it's really cool. It gives you these overhangs and that very narrow profile, which is in effect 4 inches only, but still has structural integrity. But again, this type of configuration requires more site work and adds a bit of cost to your project. So you have to sort of keep that in mind. And the last thing I'm going to do is just run through all the models. So if you made it this far, I really definitely appreciate it. But just so you're aware of the other models, of course, we looked at the Daylight, 768 square feet. Then we're looking at the Dakota and the East Bay, which are 960 square feet. The next sort of unit is the two-piece unit, which is 2 modules, and that's the Spring. These are only 14 feet wide, but 2 bedrooms and a bath, and then of course this sort of larger area with your living room and the rest. Moving up in size, we get to the Holiday, which is 1,372 square feet. And I know that if you were following us last year, the Holiday looked quite a bit different than this, but we've made some modifications, and mostly why we did it was all the units now show the mechanical room built into the modules. And, that's really the best case scenario, is to build them that way, as the guys in the facility, have full access. In some cases it can be put in the crawl space or whatever, but it's not it's not your best case scenario. So yeah, that's why this floor plan was modified. Here's a couple of my favorites coming, which would be the Forest, and that's your sort of like T or L shaped unit, and that one's coming in around 1410, I think, square feet, or 1442. And then you move up to the Shore, which is like 1610, and this is a fan favorite. And man, go through this tour because you'll see some really great revisions for 2020 as to how it's been put together. And then of course, going up again, we get the Meadow, which is 1,886 square feet, and it's actually a straightforward design, but you get a lot of floor space. So you're looking at your 2 modules, and there's a 60-foot long is the longest one, and then up from there is the 2,464 square foot Coast, and that's a beautiful family home, 3 beds, 2.5 baths, got a huge entertainment room. It's great. And then we looked at the Mountain, which is the biggest unit we have, and I think it's close to 3,400 square feet, 4 modules, all 16 foot wide. Really cool stuff, like the big staircase, and we have some other options for that. But that's the biggest one. So that's a tour. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. And of course, this is Built World 2020. you're welcome to give us a call at any time, and we'll take you on a tour of any of these units. We've got a way to do that, even if you're somewhere else. So we'd screen share and we can take you through it. Of course, if you end up, proceeding to a design with us, we would do the same type of work for you. Your home would be completely designed in 3D. We'd put all of your options in there, and you'd be able to look at it, just like we looked at this unit in that kind of detail, so you really understand what you're getting and what the options you choose, what difference that makes to your home. So we hope you enjoyed this, and feel free to watch some of the other videos. Again, I'm James from Built Prefab. If you're looking for more information, just head on over to builtprefab.com or give us an email at info@builtprefab, and we'd love to hear from you.